Jumbo, fellow adventurers, it's Mike Dooley. Time for a spiritual tune-up. Your awesome question today. Mike, Buddha said attachment is suffering. But then, how do we dream and have high expectations without it being an attachment to an ideal or a future vision? Hey, good question, because Buddha was onto some really good stuff. Whenever we use words to describe truth, they almost always slip and slide, and there's always the risk of total failure. And this pertains to the question right now. The underlying perspective is everything, because absolutely attachment is suffering, but absolutely insistence is not. Oh my gosh. It depends on what you're attaching to. It depends on what you're insisting on. And here, let me share with you how this wise sentiment from Buddha was echoed through the ages, or perhaps he was the echo. Although, when one is speaking of truth, even though words slip and fail, it's going to start sounding similar in different corners of the world. Wasn't it said, perhaps by Jesus, to die and be born again? Die to what? Die to the illusions. Not die to Jesus is your Savior. That is the misunderstanding. It is die to the illusions that tripped up Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, like we were talking about just the other day, thinking that life is something we need to react to instead of realizing we're creating it and streaming it into place right now. Die to the illusions, because if you're basing your decisions off of time, space, and matter, not realizing that they are your projections, you're going to be like the dog chasing your tail. You're not going anywhere quickly. So here is what it all boils down to. And this also, like I've been harping the last 10 days, is at the crux of the hook of life. Okay, understanding that when we want to create change, create it here in thought. It is our thoughts that power positive thinking. It is our thoughts that power fearful thinking. Thoughts are everything. And it takes some time for the illusions to catch up. And if you looked, as I shared in my book, Infinite Possibilities, if you wanted to change your appearance in the mirror in the morning, do you put your shaving cream or your makeup on the reflection you see in the glass in the mirror? No, you go to the source. You put it on your actual self, and then the mirror picks it up and sends it back. Okay, granted, a mirror is simultaneous. But when we try to adjust our lives through micromanaging, and this is the heart, through micromanaging circumstances, certain people, how our dreams are going to come true, when they're going to come true, where they're going to come true. When we start trying to micromanage the illusions without realizing what the trends are for 8 billion other co-creators, without realizing what our other 50,000 thoughts are a day, it always goes sideways eventually. More often than not, your desired micromanaged dreams will go sideways, and that's putting it kindly. All right, you're going down if you're trying to micromanage the illusions. But if you go to their source and you realize what you're after is joy, happiness, love, adventure, camaraderie, fulfillment, creativity, those are the values that you have license to attach to and insist upon. In fact, it's your job. What is your preference? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? And of course, you don't have to have dreams in that sense. You can surrender, which means allow life to happen and just surf the wave that shows up. But you're entitled as a spark of the divine to have your preferences, to have your druthers, and to say, I want more money. I want more friends. I want to write another book. I want to create XYZ. I want to travel to Timbuktu, Constantinople. This is your right. And you can insist and demand and hold out your cup until it is overflowing. But if you think you're going to wrangle all the details that will get you to Constantinople or that will bring $1 million in your life, sometimes it works. Are you okay with sometimes? I didn't think so. If you want all the time, go to abundance, general broad brush, love, friends, healing, health, recovery, harmony, fulfillment. You can have all of those. In the ultimate, joy. I want joy, and I will settle for nothing less than joy, and I'm going to choose joy right now. And every decision I make from this day forward is going to be about more joy. The universe, God, your higher self is like, oh crap, Mike is serious this time. And the only way Mike's going to be really that joyful is if Mike's healthy, and if Mike has money, and if Mike has friends. And knowing Mike, he's got to be creative. And knowing Mike, he's going to want to travel a little bit. The universe knows you better than you know yourself. The old biblical adage, before you even ask. You don't even have to ask, but go ahead. It helps to clarify things in your own mind. The universe is like all over it. This is why with trust, you don't even have to have goals, and your life is going to blow your mind with serendipities, manifestations, wealth and abundance, everything, because you're going to be following your heart, having a good time. But if you have priorities, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have preferences, nothing wrong with that. If you want money now, you're going to have to give it to the universe's time frame. It knows ASAP. But what I'm describing here is that we have license, and it is our job, your highest responsibility, to focus on where you want transformation. You've got to decide, okay? Keep it broad brush. Insist on these big picture values, and then turn over all the details, the illusions. That's what Buddha was talking about. Die to the illusions as reality. And then allow things to start showing up. So attachment is suffering when your attachment is to time, space, matter, and other things in a micromanaged sense. But you're here and you're a thing and you're allowed to luxuriate in these illusions, but to get them into your camp, attached to broad brush elements like happiness, fulfillment, creativity, camaraderie, service, and joy above all. So it's pretty simple. I've talked to some other points like this earlier. If you want to look up in the archives in Facebook, there's over 300 earlier tune-ups, the same in Instagram and in YouTube. There's one spiritual tune-up that speaks to comparing surrendering to giving up. Surrendering is allowing these micromanaged illusions to show up in the right time. You're not being passive if you surrender. You have a dream. You're choosing joy. You're taking action. Surrender to what shows up. That doesn't mean settle for less. Surrender to how your big picture dream will show up is the meaning there. As opposed to giving up, that's closing a door. Surrender is allowing. Giving up is closing a door. There is a tune-up on that. All right, go Buddha fans, go Jesus fans, go life and love fans. Thank you for the great questions. Post them below. And if you post them on the day of a broadcast, those I will read the next morning, and they could be my talking points. All right, Nelson and Mary and Narelle, glad you're here in the house. What is that pretty name? Fraza Lazaza, what a great name. Positive pressure 5. Let's do away with the pressure and just be positive. Heather, I'm glad you're here. Little squares of happiness. Okay, hasta pronto. Have an amazing day. And don't forget, in 2 days, for $39, I'm doing a 21-day program on how to discover and monetize your side hustle. And if you don't want to monetize it, discover your dance with life. Discover who you really are. Dance to the beat of your own drummer. If you want to lean into it gently, hey, that's the whole idea behind a side hustle. This does not have to be total overwhelm. I'm going to give you lots of tips, tools, 10 hours of video, 10 hours on your dashboard for life. So check it out. You pay the price you choose. Variable pricing between $39 and $69. No matter what you choose, you get the whole program. 4 workshops. The first one is this Thursday. Okay, see you tomorrow. Ciao, Bella.